today's video is going to be a fun one. I'm sure it's got a crazy title, but today's video comes from Steve, who is a jiu-jitsu competitor, blue belt, and he recently was in a competition match where he got oil checked. Now, in case you don't know what an oil check is, or you're new to grappling, basically, an oil check is where you take your finger and you stick it up someone's butt. Why you would do this can be changed, but basically it's typically to get the person to move or expose themselves. The first time I ever saw it was in wrestling, where essentially people would try to keep their elbows in really tight and not leave anything exposed. And if you got them to move, you could then maybe secure an arm to roll them over and pin them. I remember one of my teammates actually got oil checked once at a competition. And if you guys have watched the videos, I talked about this. I went to some rough schools when I was younger, and my teammate wasn't playing around with that kind of stuff. He jumped up and punched him right in the face. It was deserved, but wasn't the best thing for his wrestling career, as he couldn't wrestle for the rest of the season because he was suspended. So that's what an oil check is. Anyway, he gets into this match. He's up against an All-American wrestler. The wrestler, he's got great takedowns. He's got great side control, pressure and control, but not much jiu-jitsu going on. At one point, he gets him into a reverse triangle. He's getting it all sunken. It feels good. And then all of a sudden, he feels a finger in his butt, followed by 4 more fingers in his butt, like really pushing in there. He lets go and then continues to roll. Now, I wasn't sure how to answer this, but he sent me the video, or I wasn't sure how to respond to it, because I always like to give people the benefit of the doubt that they're not doing that kind of stuff on purpose. But then he sent me the picture of it and a video. And I mean, the guy's finger's way down up in this guy's butt. And any man, when he's wrestling, knows when his finger is up someone's butt. So I can't give them the benefit of the doubt anymore. But anyway, he sends the message to the Chewster that's me, about not whether or not how he could have won the match, because he was like, this wrestler he was beating me. It is what it is. But what do you do in that situation? If someone oil checks you, what do you do? Right? How do you deal with that situation? And so, Steve, thanks for the question, brother. And man, it's interesting, isn't it? Like dirty stuff. It almost puts your body into a form of shock, right? Like I was thinking about my own experience with dirty grapplers. I've only had 2 experiences with dirty grapplers. Aggressive, rough, mean, all that stuff. I can deal with that stuff all day. That's just normal, that's par for the course with grappling. But dirty's a different animal. What you experienced was a dirty grappler, right? He was willing to do anything that he could to win. I mean, I had a grappler one time, a guy in jiu-jitsu, take his knuckle, and he started here and he dug through, ended up cutting the skin here below the eye, and he dug his finger and just jammed it in my eye socket. I remember feeling my eyeball go into the back of my skull, and like it was really surprising. I remember after the match was over, I was like, what just happened here? Like this guy just jammed my eyeball in the socket, and the ref didn't say anything. Problem was, I didn't really bring any attention to it either. Like I was just kind of like shocked by the whole situation. And in your situation, you kind of did the same thing. After he got done like plugging your butthole with his hand, right? You kept rolling. You just kept going about it after he escaped, and you didn't really make a fuss about it. And I think that's the problem on the situation. Now, again, I'm cutting you some slack here because I did the same thing, and because if it's never happened before, you don't really have a good response for it. If you think about the way that jiu-jitsu is, we come in and like when we're first white belts, we come in, we have no idea what the heck's going on. We panic, we do all kinds of crazy stuff. And then as we get more and more comfortable with jiu-jitsu, we become more accustomed to it. And all those situations become very normal to us. Our body gets muscle memory and it gets previous experience to go off of. Well, the problem is there is no muscle memory or previous experience for you with an oil check, right? It's not like it's not like one of the moves your coach has in the curriculum. Like guard takedowns and passes. And here, guys, here's our oil check week. That's not a thing. So your body doesn't have anything to go off of. And so the first time it happens, it's like, what just happened here? Now, the one thing the answer to you, going back to it, you said, how would I advise you to go about this? Well, in the future, what I would say is stop rolling and bring attention to it immediately. There's a match a Greco match with Matt Lindland. He was an old UFC fighter, but back in his wrestling days, he used to be kind of known as a bit of a dirty grappler. And one of the things that he did in one match, he was wrestling with a guy, and he had that upper body lock, over-under lock, and he's sitting there wrestling around with the guy. And at one point, I'm going to just show you here, his head, you see his head like with the other guy's head, and he just kind of turns. And then all of a sudden, you see the other guy pushing away and trying to get away from him. And he's like, hey, the guy bit my ear. And, Matt's like, oh, I didn't bit his ear, And then you see blood coming from it and you end up getting disqualified from the match. And he brought attention to it immediately, right? And in that situation, you should have done the same thing. Brought attention to it immediately. Like, hold on, dude. Stop trying to roll with me. Like, you just put your fingers in my butt. And for me, I should have brought more attention to my eye socket. But hey, hold on a second. Like, I should have gone to the head ref and been like, look at this stuff. My eye's like busted up here. I'm bruised. I got a cut. The guy jammed it in my eye socket. Like, you guys got video of it. I should have done that. But it is what it is. So in the future, should you ever roll up against a dirty grappler, or any of you guys, should you ever go up against a dirty grappler who does something like that is against the rules, but sometimes they can slide it in there without the ref being able to clearly see, you can't blame the ref. You need to immediately bring attention to the ref so the ref can see it or can make notice of it or can at least address it. Because again, if during those situations like yours, Steve, that was really fast. During my situation, was really fast. It can happen like that, and people can get pretty clever at how they sort of conceal those things. So anyway, that's my answer to you, Steve. Sorry that it happened, but next time, just make sure that you go up against a dirty grappler who's willing to do dirty things to try to win. Just make sure you bring attention to the ref, and good luck to you in the future, brother.